to become a professional artist and animator, and so, as summer rolled around and my schedule disappeared, I decided that now was a better time than ever to start working on my dreams. So far, I've got an Etsy with some work already on it, but I decided that I need to do something big. Enter the animation project. I've animated once using Ibis Paint X and DaVinci Resolve, which, happened. This time, I'd like to do something using Blender, which I've not really used before, so we'll see how this goes. Will this project help me become a better artist? I haven't a clue. I sure hope so, or else my entire summer will be wasted. Should I get started anyway? Yes, we should. The first thing I did for this project was the beloved donut tutorial. I've used Blender before, but that was like 2 years ago, so I decided to redo the donut tutorial for Blender version 5. This was actually not too bad. I did it all in a day, taking about 7 hours of active working time at my desk, which was much better than the entire month that the last one took me. My friends didn't think it was a real donut, but oh well. Realism is not what I'm aiming for, so it's all good. I was following this video, which lists a bunch of good tutorials, but quickly decided to stop for a moment and consider my goals. For animation, I need to learn a few things. The fundamentals of animation is an obvious one, but the bare foundations that I want to focus on for the first month of this project is character modeling, environment design, and general concept art. Next month, I'll do more animation stuff like writing, storyboarding, and actually animating using Blender. I decided that I should start working on learning character modeling now before my one true love procrastination butts in and turns this summer project into a year-long fiasco. I started learning by doing the Crashsune Academy low poly character modeling tutorial. This isn't the art style I'm going for, but it helped teach and reinforce the basics of Blender like modeling and UV unwrapping, which will be super important for my project. This tutorial took me a lot longer, at 2 days, which is somewhat caused by the heatwave in the UK, where my room was routinely 30 degrees at night, let alone throughout the day. I think the final product was pretty decent, looking enough like the reference for me to declare it as a success. However, this is the point where I was reunited with my least favourite thing in the entire animation pipeline. Seriously, I do not understand how anyone can enjoy this at all. Rigging. I hate rigging. It is so annoying. There is way too much going on, and weight painting hates me, especially throughout this tutorial. When I had limbs mirrored at the weight painting stage, it would cause a bunch of problems, which was infuriating. Thankfully, my art style requires way more polygons than the art style for Love-chan, which I think should solve some of the issues with the weight painting. However, this also comes with its own issues, like texturing and UVs. Yay! I want my characters to have custom textures to fit in with my art style more. I love using textured brushes, so it just won't feel like my own work without it. However, I haven't learned how to do texturing yet, and frankly, I don't intend to for a little while. I do have some tutorials prepared, so it will be done eventually. Oh yeah, I should probably mention my art style. For those that haven't seen my work before, hi, I'm Frevi, and this is some of my best pieces. As you can see, it relies heavily on texture, but that causes a problem. My brushes. For the longest time, I've been really stubborn about using Ibis Paint X despite having a perpetual license of Clip Studio Paint. I finally decided to try Clip Studio Paint properly in my concept art stream. If you went to that, thank you for going, it was lovely yapping. If you didn't, I'll be hosting them at least once a month, so subscribe to be notified when I go live or when I upload a video, as I plan to do video uploads once a week now. Moving back to concept art, Clip Studio Paint doesn't have access to my beloved texture brush that I use on Ibis Paint X, which gave me quite the dilemma. Do I redraw the entire thing on Ibis Paint X? Do I redraw some parts but not others? Or do I just leave it as is? Eventually, after trying all of the solutions I could think of, creating whatever the hell this is, I decided to just leave it as it is. Because I used a watercolor brush when making my initial concept art, it does have some texture built in, which I'll use instead. This was probably the best decision after spending almost an hour working on this monstrosity. For whatever reason, my workflow for CSP is significantly better, giving me much better results within much less time, which I hope to take full advantage of in the future. After doing the Blender tutorials, I started on some concept art, specifically environmental concept art. The only thing I had in mind before this process is that I wanted it to start in a forest and end in a dungeon, hence the animation's name, Lighthart's Dungeon. My process for making environmental concept art starts with a vibe sketch, where I decide the colours and general vibe of the piece, and then I make a more detailed piece based on the sketch. I do the vibe vibe and detail sketch separately because a major part of my work is using colors and shapes to foreshadow and develop the mood. For example, this sketch started off with a basic blue sky, but I quickly changed it to a much better pink sunset. I chose a sunset specifically, not just to make the scene visually interesting, but also to give a more intimate feeling to the scene. I don't want to spoil you too much if you're interested in the final animation, but my main trio had only just met and so we're trying to get to know each other. Because of this, I thought that a more intimate vibe would suit the situation better. This is the concept art that I ended up with. I did some more work on the side after the stream and I think that it all worked out. Overall, this took about 4 hours to do in total. This project is a super big project with a very large scale considering my essentially non-existent experience with animation and 3D modeling. At the bare minimum, I want to introduce my 3 main characters, Sylvie, Lydia and Evan, while also showing the very basics of my story in a way that'll get people interested in the world and the characters within it. Next week's upload will hopefully be productive with lots of writing and more Blender tutorials happening. I started this Blender tutorial for modeling the head in the anime style, but I kid you not, the first 3 minutes has taken me over 2 hours to copy, so it is not looking good for me. It appears I'm gonna be in head hell for a very long time. I also need to do some writing to get a better idea of what will actually happen. I really don't want to spoil you guys, so I'm not sure what I can actually show you, but that's a problem for future Frevi. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate your support by liking and subscribing to see more of my work or to be notified when I stop live streaming. It really does make a difference. If you like my art, you can also buy my prints on my Etsy. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one.